Okay. Namarasa Prabhu, good morning. Welcome to the actual morning program. We know your podcast is called Late Morning Program. So you're living up to the name of your podcast. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Let me quickly make you a co-host. Hold on.
Sure.
Where's Namarasa? Okay. Make co-host. Okay, Prabhu. You can
Hare
take
Krishna.
it over. The floor is
Okay.
yours. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Sorry I'm late. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinubandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you for joining today's class. Sorry I'm late. So I'm going to just get right into it. So recapping what's going on right now is that Devaki is seen by Kamsa as having the Supreme Lord in her womb. So what happened before this was that the Lord Balaram was transferred from Devaki to Rohini, and then Yogamaya was told to be born at the same time as Krishna from the womb of Yashoda. And so Srila Prabhupada talks about the Shaktas, the worshippers of Durga, Kali, and that's all the same person, Yogamaya. And so now what's occurring was that from the mind of Vasudeva, Krishna was transferred to the mind of Devaki and to the heart of Devaki. And so even in Vasudeva, when the Lord was present there, he was very effulgent and illuminated. And now that Krishna has been transferred to Devaki, she's also looking very effulgent. And Kamsa himself even noticed that. He said that, the Supreme Personality of God, Vishnu, who is now within her, will kill me. Devaki has never looked so brilliant and jubilant. So Kamsa was actually very Krishna conscious at this point. He was always thinking of Krishna, how Krishna is going to kill me, and very much in anxiety, not in the proper way of how we should worship Krishna or think of Krishna. We should think of, what's the verse? Favorably. We should think of the Lord favorably with love and devotion. So this is a one way of thinking of the Lord, but this is not the way of a devotee. This is the way of the enemy of the Lord, even though it is still being very much absorbed in the thought of the Lord. So I just want to go through the purport and kind of expand perhaps on Srila Prabhupada's points here. So first of all, the point I would say is that the point of the materialistic civilization. So there's a famous verse, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata, that the Lord descends when there's a predominant rise of irreligion. So the Lord descended as Krishna 5,000 years ago, descended in many other incarnations, and more recently descended as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who we just celebrated his appearance day. And then later, Srila Prabhupada talks about how the Lord appears in this world, Kali Kali Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar, that the Lord appears in his most merciful form as the holy name within this world. But unfortunately, materialistic civilization is stressing only the senses of the body and not understanding the living source within the body. So materialistic civilization's aim is only to try to increase enjoyment of the body and of the senses. There's no conception of the soul or the eternality of the soul, or even the limitations of the current body. There's only everything has been focused around how can we accelerate sense enjoyment? How can we accelerate our own selfish desires? This is what materialistic civilization is aimed towards. We see in history about industrial development and development of technology, development of all these different things. They're actually really seriously wonderful. Some of the things that have been created, like, for example, a phone. I can communicate with someone from millions of miles away, like at an instant. I can see them. Did we ever think that we would be able to do that? I remember when I was a kid, like I think I saw a phone and it had like a camera on it. It was like one of those like table phones. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. Like you can see the person, or like a doorbell, which had like a camera on it. But now things have accelerated so much that, within our hand, we can talk to someone in, I don't know, India or Vrindavan or whatever it is. These are obviously very wonderful things, and it can be used in Krishna service, obviously. But the reason they were created is not for the correct reasons. It's for the reasons of advancing material life and a selfish lust, basically lusty desires. Because what is lust? Lust is a selfish thing, so it can be used in that way also. And here Srila Prabhupada says, but human society has been so fallen that instead of understanding the living force within the body, the soul, people have become busy with external things. There's a discrepancy in human duties. So what is human life meant for? In human life, we can understand what is eternal and what is not eternal. We can ask these questions. Who am I? Why am I here? While in the animal form of life or the lower forms, these things, they're just followed by instinct or whatever is, whatever body you're in, you're following that instinct, like a tiger or a lion or any kind of animal. But in the human form of life, we can ask the question, what existential questions? Why am I here? What am I doing here? Who is God? Why am I suffering? So if we don't capitalize on asking the right questions and finding the answers to those questions, then we are actually not taking advantage of this human form. And so this Krishna consciousness movement, Srimad Bhagavatam, aims at helping the living entity, the human life, to understand that we are actually eternal servants of Krishna, and that we have a duty to follow the religious principles that are set by the Lord himself, Dharmantu Shakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. So he says, this is a discrepancy in human duties. Therefore, Krishna has taken birth or taken shelter within the womb of the Krishna consciousness movement. Men of Kamsa's class, therefore, are very much afraid and are busy trying to stop this movement, especially in the Western countries. So in the 70s and even now as well, the movement has been trying to be stopped by external forces. And because there are demons in this world, there are still demons in this world that are trying to stop God-conscious people from sharing and spreading religious principles in the Krishna consciousness movement. And Srila Prabhupada's point of view from here is also a historical one. And we see in the 70s, there was many people who were upset about the way Krishna consciousness was spreading with like wildfire in different countries, among different people. Even in America, there was something called deprogrammers. The parents of people who were becoming devotees would hire these people to kidnap the devotee, who was their son or daughter, and try to deprogram them. There are many stories of that. So Srila Prabhupada's point here is that the demons or the people of men of Kamsa's class are trying to stop this movement, but it cannot actually be checked. He's mentioned that this Krishna consciousness movement cannot be checked. It can only be checked from the inside. And he kind of alludes to that at the end, that the movement will go on provided that the leaders of this movement firmly follow Krishna conscious principles and the primary activities of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. And there's so much to say about that as well. But going forward in the purport, Krishna appeared as the holy name, Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna Avatar. The Krishna conscious movement is spreading like wildfire all over the world and will go on doing so. Men who are like Kamsa are very much afraid of the movement's progress and acceptance by the younger generation. But Krishna could not be killed by Kamsa. The movement cannot be checked by the men of Kamsa's class. So this movement will go on for the next 10,000 years as it's predicted. And it cannot be checked by anyone except from the inside. So that's why there's so much reason for us to be unified in our sharing of Krishna consciousness, in our pursuit of making others Krishna conscious, and most importantly, making ourselves Krishna conscious. As he said in the later years, now you have so many members. Try to boil the milk, just as when you boil the milk, the more it boils, the sweeter it gets. So it's very important to spread Krishna consciousness, but it is also immensely important, and probably some can say more important, to make ourselves Krishna conscious. Whatever devotees we have, let's take care of them and make sure they're Krishna conscious. Sometimes there is a complaint that, okay, we're making devotees, and once someone comes to Krishna consciousness, we forget about them and we just move on to the next new person. While that person who so much energy was spent in bringing them over, they're forgotten. And okay, they're a devotee already, so they're good. But actually, there should be a lot of, don't get me wrong, but there should be a lot of energy put into developing devotees that we already have. There should be a lot of energy put into that. And what does that mean? That means making sure devotees are happy, making sure devotees are inspired and are feeling that they are connected with the movement. And what does that mean in this day and age? It doesn't necessarily mean the temple. It means with a group of devotees or a devotee. Try to find devotees that are swajatiya, snigdha. Swajatiya means like-minded. Not all devotees are like-minded. There's such a spectrum of devotees in this movement. So it's not that we will connect with everyone. Of course, we respect everyone. We give our pranam, from Nectar of Instruction, verse 5. Those who are chanting the holy name, we respect them. Those who are initiated into the movement, we give our obeisances to them. We pay our dandavats to them. Those who are senior, we respect them. So it's important that we find people who are swajatiya and snigdha. Snigdha means affectionate. We have certain affection towards them. And so this is how we can, this is very important in our spreading our movement, making our movement grow, but also making it sustainable. Like we see how many devotees have fallen away throughout the years. It's because they might not feel connected, or they may feel that they're feeling judged, or this or that, whatever reason it may be. So we have to try to also retain devotees not just make devotees, but retain devotees. Retaining means to keep them inspired, keep them connected. And this is how the movement will continue to flourish and continue to grow. When inspired devotees connect with others and inspire others to join this movement. Like there was this someone who got who joined the Krishna conscious movement in the 70s. He, for many years, he didn't take initiation. And someone asked him, why didn't you ever take initiation? He said, because I see how you treat your committed members. And that was kind of like a wake-up call for them. Like, okay, he just wants to kind of stay on the periphery, doesn't want to be fully committed, because he feels like those devotees who do take the commitment, they might take advantage of them, or they might forget them, or they might feel like, okay, they're okay, let's move on to the next person. This is a truth that's not palatable, of course, but the only way the movement can be stopped is from the inside. It's something we're doing. So we have to be more mindful of the way we treat devotees and the way we develop devotees and develop relationships. Anyway, I just want to read some verses that Srila Prabhupada quotes. So the first is that 4:7, and he talks about how religious principles are set by the Lord himself. So I'll read a few snippets from the purports. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Therefore, the principles of Dharma or religion are direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmam tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam. The principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender unto him only and nothing more. So whatever religion shows that, or tells or teaches that ultimately one should surrender unto God, and that is the only thing one should do, one should try to please God, this is actual religion. Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. So the only shelter, it should be the Lord. So then he talks about the different incarnations. And then at the end here, he says, the principles of Bhagavad Gita were spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter, to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to read. Right. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstance. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant, or himself in some disguised form. That's why Srila Prabhupada was said to by one of his senior godbrothers as a Shakti-Avesh avatar. Shakti-Avesh avatar means a empowered individual, an empowered incarnation of the Lord. Not that Srila Prabhupada is Krishna, but he's empowered with the same Shakti, Shakti-Avesh. Avesh means like almost that. So Shakti-Avesh avatar. Srila Prabhupada came. This is basically, that's what he's describing, a bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant. So Srila Prabhupada came to spread Krishna consciousness, and we see the effect of that in such a short time, in the span of 11 or 12 years, whatever it was, 108 temples and thousands of people, like he described in the first purport, it spread like a pandemic. Spread like a pandemic. Krishna consciousness was going like wildfire. It still is in its own way now. In the pioneering years, it has to explode, the Krishna conscious explosion. And now it's about, I feel, in a in a way that can be sustainable, a sustainable growth, I would say. Let's see the other next verse. So that verse, Dharmantu Shakshat Bhagavat Pranitam, that's from the Srimad Bhagavatam 6th canto, 3rd chapter, 19th verse. Real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although fully situated in the mode of goodness, even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets cannot ascertain real religious principles, nor can the demigods or the leaders of Siddhaloka, to say nothing of the asuras, ordinary human beings, Vidyadharas and Charanas. Herein is stated that real religious principle is that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That principle is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. There's another verse that talks about religion too. That actual religion, Anyabilashita Shinu Jnana Karma Dhyanarita. Real religion is that which brings about the eternal loving devotional service to the Lord. That is real religious principle everyone should follow. Even though one follows Vedic scriptures, one may not know this transcendental principle, for it is not known to everyone. To say nothing of human beings, even the demigods in the upper planetary systems are unaware of it. This transcendental religious principle must be understood from the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, or from his special representative, as stated in the next verse. So this is actually secret. This is the greatest secret knowledge. I mean, we think of it very normally because we've been around the philosophy so long, but for someone else, even it says the demigods, it's unknown to them that this real religious principle is that one should surrender everything and only surrender to Krishna. And it can be understood from Krishna directly or from his special representative. That's the importance of finding a representative of the Lord who can impart this knowledge unto you. Tadvidi pranipatena. And then the other verse I wanted to quote here was in CC Madhya 2283. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mule Hai Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Prema Janma Tenho Mukha Pruna Mukha Anga. The root cause of devotional service to Krishna is association with advanced devotees. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is most essential. So we talked about dharma, we talked about religion, we talked about surrendering to Krishna. And now, what is the cause of this devotional service within the heart of the devotee? It's the association of advanced devotees, as it says here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so one should seek out devotee association. That's what this Krishna consciousness movement is for. Srila Prabhupada has created these communities and societies for what reason? Not for raising money, not for any social reason, but let's read the principles of ISKCON. What is the reason what's the reason Srila Prabhupada has created ISKCON? To create spiritual embassies. One of them points is to create a spiritual embassy where people can come and hear and chant about the Lord, not for any other reason. This is also a point that we should understand, because if we try to come to the temple for the wrong reasons, or you'll naturally be that's not what it's for. What it's for is for hearing, chanting. What we're doing right now, this is a type of kirtan, not just chanting the holy name, but also glorifying the Lord with our words and describing his pastimes. So this is another reason for the Krishna consciousness movement, for hearing and chanting about the Lord, being engaged in bhajan. Bhajan means worship, or bhajan means to glorify. And so how do we continue doing this in a sustainable way is to associate with devotees. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi Lava Mantra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. And also this one, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula. Janma means that birth of the root cause is Sadhu Sangha. So I want to leave you all with, we can have a discussion now, but I'd like to leave you with a very inspiring quote that someone sent me yesterday from Nectar of Devotion, chapter 18. It's very inspiring. So here, listen really carefully here. So the strong conviction that one will certainly receive the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called, in Sanskrit, Ashabandha. Ashabandha means to continue to think, quote, because I'm trying my best to follow the routine principles of devotional service, I am sure that I will go back to Godhead, back to home. In this connection, one prayer by Rupa Goswami is sufficient to exemplify this hopefulness. He says, I have no love for Krishna, nor for the causes of developing love of Krishna, namely hearing and chanting. And the process of bhakti yoga, by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in my heart, is also lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I'm not even born of a nice family. Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopi Jana Vallabha. I simply wish and hope that some way or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain, because I think myself quite incompetent to approach that transcendental goal of life. The purport is that under this heading of Ashabandha, one should continue to hope against hope that some way or other he will be able to approach the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? One should hope against hope that one day, if I continue to try to follow the principles of hearing and chanting, that one day I will approach the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is the kind of mood we should have when we perform our hearing, when we perform our chanting. That I don't really, I'm speaking to myself here. I don't have much attraction for this, but my Lord, I pray to you that I may be attracted to this. I maybe get a taste in this process. And so with this mood, we will actually attain the goal. We will. It's all about the attitude. It's all about the mood. And so I'll leave you with that. Hope that inspires you to continue your day, whatever you're doing, if you're working or you're doing whatever your duties are in this world, but to try to keep in the back of your mind that Krishna, please accept this, whatever honest attempt I'm making in devotional service.
Thank you, Namarasa Prabhu. That prayer, the beautiful prayer that you shared with us, reminded me of Vaisheshika Prabhu's favorite Srimad Bhagavatam verse. Can anyone guess what that verse is?
Tattenukampam Susamikshmana.
Namarasa, good guess. Yeah, it says, "My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart," the attitude that Namarasa was talking about, "words and body, is surely eligible for liberation one day, for it has become his or her rightful claim." Beautiful. Namarasa Prabhu, great class. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to contribute by reflecting on what has been said or asking a question? Haripusha Prabhu, you have to deal with Akashvani.
I think they dealt with it. No, they didn't. She's doing now. Right, Krishna?
Okay, good.
Yeah. You can hear me now?
Yes.
The verse is about the beauty, the effulgence Mataji was exhibiting when Krishna was in her heart and her mind. And I remember one time in the airport, the police officer said about Srila Prabhupada, "Why is he shining?" Just like that, why is he shining? And Sachinanda Maharaj was saying that every devotee has this treasure. every person has this treasure, but it's hidden. And how is it uncovered? He said the secret is that we must concentrate on giving Krishna consciousness to others. And Namarasa Prabhu was talking about how maintaining the devotees is important. And we give to people who are devotees and people who have not yet received, but this giving, caring, sharing, and taking care of the devotees is very important.
Thank you, Prabhu.
There's so many beauty products. If you go into Rite Aid, there's these long aisles with all these things that are supposed to make you beautiful, and Prabhupada does the decorations for the dead body, ornaments and beautiful clothing and cosmetics, but beauty is as beauty does. The natural glory and the beauty of the soul is revealed as we carry Krishna, like Mataji is doing, Devaki Mataji. We can do it. It's amazing. It's wonderful. How wonderful is Krishna that he's giving us that access.
Yeah, we should consider ourselves extremely. We should consider ourselves. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We should consider ourselves very fortunate to be connected with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and ponder on that, how fortunate we are to help us move forward. Does anyone else have anything to add?
I have a quick question. You were talking, Namarasa Prabhu, earlier about how there are demons out there who are trying to check the Krishna consciousness movement from spreading.
Yeah.
Are there demons in the movement? Are there demons in our heart? How does that work in the present day and age, this demon devotee correlation in the movement?
Yeah, I mean, we all have demoniac propensity. I mean, I have demoniac propensity within me that we have to try to not have that leak into our Krishna consciousness. Of course, we don't think, okay, there are, this person's a demon or this person's a demon within the movement, but there are like he only said, Prabhupada said, it would be stopped from within. So he even said also, there are quotes where Prabhupada said there are demons disguised as devotees. Not that we go around saying...
when they read Srimad Bhagavatam, they cheer for Kamsa, right? That kind
of... Right. But we shouldn't think that some certain this devotee is a demon or that there is. It's everyone has this propensities, demoniac and divine propensities within them. So, and we're hoping that with time we become purified. That whatever we're feeding can grow. Like, for example, the two dogs within our heart. Whichever one we feed is the one that grows and is able to take over. So we should understand how to be divine in our dealings and not demoniac. That's all I can say, I think. I mean, there's a lot to say about the movement and how it's going to continue. But that's what I'll say for now.
Thank you, Namarasa Prabhu. Would anyone else like to share? Bhima Prabhu?
No. Haribol, dragging me in. I
I think that not so much as a demons devotees, even though we know that, and demoniac behavior or demonstrates like an independent streak in our
Bhima Prabhu, we can't hear you. You're breaking
way
up.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
very choppy, Bhima
Let me
Prabhu.
walk the acre. Now, am I better?
Yeah, better. Yeah, it's better now. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think the biggest thing that we should all watch out for, at least for myself, is complacency. That when things are going all right externally, we tend to become a little bit complacent with our own sadhana, and not just like I spent so many hours doing this, or I chanted my 16 rounds or something, but that sort of like calling out, that helplessness is so necessary. And this is why Krishna, despite the fact that we're devotees, and probably because of the fact that we're devotees, sends us great troubles and tribulations. And so sort of that we, as Queen Kunti says, let these calamities happen again and again so that we can see you, Krishna. So, I myself have been brought to my knees because I wasn't on my knees, so to speak, praying, and brought to my knees praying, and all my best chanting, all my best calling out. We tend to think chanting is Hare Krishna, get that bead through that thumb and get that, counter bead down the string, and I'm done and everything like that. But it's actually just like, Krishna, Krishna, help me. This world is coming down on me. And of course, if anybody spends any amount of time listening to the news and really going down the rabbit hole of the news, Kali Yuga is really ramping up right now, and pretty soon there's going to be some serious barriers to freedom of expression. I won't go into that, but the fact of the matter is that we have to look to ourselves and always remind ourselves of the miracle of Srila Prabhupada, that he started out one piece of paper at a time. I read something, and I'll end with this. Back when during World War II, they had a ban, for the lack of a better word, a ban on the distribution of paper in India, and Prabhupada had to petition the government to get one sheet of paper a week that he could distribute with what he wrote his first Back to Godhead magazine on. So he actually had to petition the government one sheet at a time. And that was 1944, right during the war. And so we see that, if Prabhupada could do it, and of course, all that, Prabhupada was directly connected, so to speak, but we're directly connected to those who are directly connected to Srila Prabhupada. And through that, we can always remind ourselves never to become complacent, to always call upon Krishna first thing in the morning when we wake up, chant. I don't have any, somehow, Krishna, I'm not even fearing Maya. That was Prabhupada's big thing, is that especially Western devotees do not fear Maya. I know I didn't. And, it caused some serious problems. But anyways, that's all I had to say. The demon we should look out for is complacency. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bhima Prabhu, beautiful comment. I was thinking, I'm not sufficiently afraid of my cell phone, which is a flat out demon. It offers everything right there. It's right there in my pocket, always charged, always updated, the software. Everything is available. So we're not sufficiently, we're not careful enough. If we're not careful enough with these toys that Kali Yuga offers, if we're not using them in Krishna service, if we're not busy enough, I would say, in Krishna consciousness, in assisting Srila Prabhupada in his mission, then there's every chance that this technology and devices and gadgets will be will be acting as an agent of demoniac, of the bad dog, of the bad wolf. That's how we feed the bad wolf, with these gadgets and hours spent on the phone. We become demoniac unless we're sufficiently engaged by the mercy of our guru and the devotees in the service. If there's no engagement, there's no responsibility for something in Krishna consciousness. Like we have Angelica, Akiko-chan, Andrea. They're responsible for, letting people in and making sure everything is going smoothly. They're responsible. They show up every day. Every day they show up for this class. And it's so yeah, Angelica, Akiko, Andrea, how does that help you in remaining steady in Krishna consciousness and fighting your demoniac, your demoness propensities? Does that help? Taking up some responsibility for Srila Prabhupada's mission? Yes, Andrea? Yes.
Hare Krishna. I know for me, I can only speak for myself, that the things that I struggle with is I have health problems that sometimes make it really difficult to get up in the morning. And the knowing that I get to help with the Srimad Bhagavatam class, even in the small way that you mentioned, motivates me to kind of get through the pain and just wake up anyway and try to make it to class. And then knowing that I'm going to get the Sangha and that I'm going to get to check in and see how the devotees are doing, that really motivates me. And then my other seva, like the videos that I do for the kids and the stories that I tell and the classes, I think all those things really feed that good wolf. So that, and I think for me, sometimes when people are talking about demoniac, sometimes it's difficult for me to understand without getting into this whole like Christian view of like demons and angels. So a lot of times I translate the demoniac to materialistic. So that materialistic or that consumeristic, kind of like that idea that you own things, that things are just to be consumed. And when I translate it in my head that way, and a lot of times when I explain it to others in that way, as opposed to using the word demon, then they tend to kind of understand how easily it is to fall into that. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Jay, we so much appreciate you and everything you're doing in this class. You're doing so much more than just pushing the buttons. You're like a deity of this, a presiding deity of this class, always there, always watching. Thank you, Andrea. Akiko-chan.
She should read us a story. She should tell us stories. One morning, she should give us a story time. You should invite her to do
we should do a poetry day for Andrea.
Hare Krishna.
Akiko-chan. Akiko, can you hear me? Unmute.
Yes. Sorry, I'm in a store right now. One moment. I'll talk. Sorry. I'm grateful that you assigned me to this small but important task, and it's definitely helping me to be accountable. Sorry, it might be a little bit too noisy. Okay. I'm in London, by the way. So I just wanted to say that my appreciation. So thank you.
Yeah, we're holding you accountable, Akiko-chan. We're holding you accountable
Yes, I know.
for Prabhupada's mission.
Yes, on the street of London. Hello.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Angelica?
Hare Krishna. I was just notified that I'm doing this service. So that's really nice. I did notice that I have some of the responsibility, but it's really nice to actually know that I have something to like really show up to every day. And I also want to reflect or share what came to my mind when Andrea was sharing, and this question of like, what does it mean to deal with the demoniac, whether it's like in ourselves or externally or both combined. And I find that like what serves me the most to address it in words is to just see the demoniac as something that may take us away from Krishna, or something that is yet not spiritualized. And so in this way, it doesn't even have to be then, because I find that especially coming from a Christian background, this idea of hell and heaven is very strong, and it also can create many triggers internally that like it almost seems impossible to make it to heaven so that everybody is just going to burn in hell, which is a very strong and violent image. But I find that, excuse me, for myself, if I just approach, oh, this is an anartha that I am yet to transform, and I can pray to the Lord that I may have been given opportunities to transform this negative quality of mine. And also I can ask my senior mentors how I could work with this issue that I'm facing, then I find that this is just much more realistic, and it also saves us from falling into this all or nothing mentality, which is really dangerous, because if it's all or nothing, then if we are not meeting our own expectations, which often I don't, then it can be like, okay, I'm not doing anything anymore, which is even worse. So that's my 5 cents here. Thank you so much for giving me a new service.
Sure. Thank you, Angelica. Yeah, you say that you're coming from the Christian background. I never heard from Angelica that anyone is going to hell or anything. So Angelica, it's very good. You're representing Christianity in a very beautiful way. Thank you for that. Would anyone else like to say, to contribute? Shikshashtakam Prabhu, do you have 5 cents to contribute, or quarter?
Oh, maybe a penny or two. But I was thinking that for me, for my greatest fear as far as the demonic influences, being led down a path, that your common sense kind of loses you, and you are led by the common propaganda of the day, of whatever party or faction or influence that there is in the world, that you're taken away from the straight and narrow, and you start believing things that are like conspiracy theories and false propaganda. Like I was talking to a nice devotee from Eastern Europe, from Slovenia, and he started saying he was saying that that Putin is very, very careful in his selection of targets. And I couldn't believe that he was like almost spewing Russian propaganda. He was saying that Zelensky is using human shields, and that's why there's so much destruction. But he's targeting, like maternity hospitals and apartment buildings and hitting them right in their front doors. And so what is their maternity, or like pregnant mothers that are trained assassins? What do you mean, human shields? I couldn't understand. He sounded like he should be on Russian TV, and he doesn't even live in Russia. But so the danger is that we're hearing all these things, and we're led astray. So we have to read Prabhupada's books and always listen to the still small voice within ourselves to actually, discern what is true and what is illusion in this material world. The Bhagavatam helps us do that by helping us distinguish reality from illusion. And if we just continue to listen to Krishna, then all of these fog of war type of scenarios, which happens to us even in this country on day-to-day basis, we're always being led astray by this group or that group, and we start listening and we become more and more interested, and we spend too much time on the internet researching whatever we think is true. We should just listen to Krishna and Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and then we won't be led astray, and we can use our common sense, because those things verify each other. The voice of Krishna is within our hearts, and it's verified by the Shastra from without, and devotees from, that are fixed up in their service, they are also helping us to the right path. So it's very easy to get us led astray. And I just thank God that I'm I have some common sense, that I'm not like really, taken away by all these things, like, for example, like the Y2K, I never thought Y2K would do anything. Of course it didn't. But, it's very easy to get, especially religious people. It seems like they're sometimes susceptible to all these like end times prophecies and conspiracy theories and wild things, so we have to really just depend on this voice that gives us a constant state of sanity. And that's by reading constantly, I think. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much. So you read Srila Prabhupada's books every day, unlike me, unfortunately. So
well, you're busy. I don't know what you do.
I'm trying to step up my reading. So my question to you is, what's that verse in the Shastra that says, if you place your faith in something other than Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, you'll be disappointed? What's that verse? You'll be disappointed. You'll be let down if you place your faith. Adipusha Prabhu, what's that verse? Who knows? Arjuna Prabhu, what's that verse? That you'll be disappointed. If you trust anything that is other than what's said in scripture, you'll be disappointed. You'll be let down.
It says that if one who has full faith in Guru and Shastra and is engaged in their service, all the imports of the Vedas will be revealed. And Bhima was saying something about complacency. And complacency might be shooting for less than the excellent standard. When the Guru is in our life, when we have a prescribed duty, then we know this is the direction, this is the criteria. And then, Maya sometimes disguises herself as devotional service, something less than what the Guru asked you to do. We love the fact that Vaisheshekha Prabhu, Anupam was telling us, every day he has to report, I read this many pages, I chanted this many rounds, I distributed this many books. Then he knows, that he's accountable to a person who has given him prescribed duty. And the tendency is to drift away from prescribed duty, just like Arjuna said, well, I'll just go to the forest and I'll, with this all this fighting stuff, So when we have Guru and we have prescribed duty and we have a direction that's very clearly and specifically indicated, then the demons step in a subtle or gross way. Like they say, a wolf in sheep's clothing is more dangerous than a wolf. I think Bhima wants to say something. I'm talking too much here, but go on, Bhima.
Yeah, Adi. Actually, Adi never speaks too much in the sense that he always gives me a call and helps me through my day. So I get 2 Bhagavatam classes a day, this one, and then Adi calls afterwards and we discuss the wonderful class and, of course, our each individual lives. But I would very quickly like to say is that we can take as an object lesson the wonderful devotees in Ukraine who are being bombed and who are huddling in the temples, even in Kiev, and they are living literally Bhagavatam class to Bhagavatam class. I read an article written by, I guess, an Indian journalist who documented and interviewed these Ukrainian devotees during the initial onslaught, the foray of the Russian troops into Kiev. And there were some devotees who even took up arms and said that they chant Hare Krishna as they shoot each bullet. And of course, the ones who have headed towards the border, but they didn't just head and run. They had turned around in their vans and brought food and are doing food distribution for all the people who prasadam distribution, just like Adi on the front line. So they're not, arguing about politics. They're not saying, oh, Putin says this and Zelensky says this and et cetera, et cetera. They're chanting. They're all huddled together, chanting with their families every morning, like no one else has ever huddled together and chanted with their families. And we have to realize that, the bell tolls for all of us. Do not ask for whom the bell tolls. The bell tolling is, when it comes our time to meet our maker, so to speak. Do not ask for whom the bell tolls, for it tolls for each one of us. So we will all have to come to that point in time where we will be chanting, and that will be the only thing we have is the holy name and Prabhupada's grace and mercy upon us. So that's the one thing that we can always depend on, in juxtaposition to complacency, where we forget how very tenuous our existence is. While these devotees are huddling in their temples or trying to defend at least their homeland, we're out shopping at the mall, so to speak, as one soldier put. So we just have to remind ourselves what the essence and how precarious our existence is day to day. And that's all I got to say. I really, really enjoy these classes and these discussions, and it's such a gift. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Namarasa Prabhu had to drop out, but we thank him for the class, and we thank everyone on this call for contributing. It's not just in Ukraine, it's everywhere in this world. We signed up for this, so let's make the best possible deal out of this bad bargain, like Srila Prabhupada taught us. Thank you very much. We'll see you again tomorrow, another day in Krishna's service. Hare
Thank you, Hare Krishna.